Alright, hello, welcome to this video. In this video we're going to be going over how to make a Valheim server on the Google Cloud Platform. And we're going to be using the Linux GSM tutorial. I've tried using other ones, but I feel like that this one is the easiest one out of all the other methods. It's very easy to set up, and I'm going to walk you through it and how to change all the settings and everything, and yeah, it should be a good experience, so let's get started. Now I actually already created one here. This is for my friends to play on. And it was a kind of a pain of setting it up at first, just because I didn't know how Valheim, specifically Linux GSM, I didn't really know how to work with this. I've never worked with this before, but it was pretty easy in the end after you understand everything, and I hopefully will let you guys understand how everything works and everything. So go ahead and start by creating an instance and renaming it to whatever you want. Just rename my Valheim YouTube. Keep the location, it's fine. Now for the resources, Valheim servers are actually very, very cheap. They don't need a lot. But I am just gonna do, let's see, actually I want to do custom. And I'm gonna do Intel Cascade Lake, and instead of 8, I'm gonna do 4 gigabytes because it is very cheap. And it's very nice, very nice. Can I keep deviant because that is truly the only way to create a real server is in Linux. For a network tag, go ahead and create anything you want. Make sure you remember this tag, okay? And in your network interface, you're going to want to create an external IP address. I actually already created one. It's called Valheim YouTube. But if you don't already have one pop up here, just go ahead and click Create IP Address, name whatever you want, and click Reserve. So go ahead and pick that. Everything else, leave blank. And that looks good. So once you get the network settings all figured out, you can go ahead and click Create. And while that's starting up and everything, we'll go over to our firewall. So head to the hamburger on the top left, come down and find VPC network and click firewall, click firewall. Once you are in your firewall settings, you can head and click a create rule. Like you can notice I actually already have one set up, but that is for my private server. And you can see the ports already right there. So just go ahead and create a firewall rule, name it whatever you'd like. And scroll down a bit, and in target tags, we're going to want to put the tag that you set on the instance when you were first creating it. I told you to remember that, so you should have it just fine. And your source IP address, you're going to put 0.0.0.0/0, or some would say whack 0 is the proper term, whack 0. And you're going to go ahead and click UDP, and Valheim's ports are 2456 through 2457. Basically, 2457 is to query the actual server in case you want to discover it but not actually join it. And 2456 is actually the port to play on. So that looks all good. Go ahead and create that firewall rule. And we'll head back over to our compute engine. And you can see that our Valheim server is up and running. So we can go ahead and actually SSH into it. And as soon as the SSH session is up and running, actually head over here, and we're going to use the tutorial or the install directions for Linux GSM. All right, so go ahead and do add user. Okay. That's why. Permission deny. Make sure you're in sudo, or in root rather. And just go ahead and do add user vh server. Create a password. I'll just create this password that I can remember. Just name this Valheim. Everything else is fine. So now what that did is that created a different user account, which is what we want. So we're going to want to log in to the VH server user we just created, and that is done by su and then VH server. What am I doing? There we go. Good. So now we are logged into the user. And now we want to run this command. Looks like this is getting the Linux GSM download, or sorry, file to install the Valheim server, and changing permissions, and it looks like it's running the server as well. So do that. Okay. I get why that's not working. Yeah, yeah, okay. We need to exit out of this and app install. So you get, if you don't have it. Good. So now let's go back in, and now we should be able to run this just fine. Good. Now should be able to run this server. So this is going to do, it's going to install. There are a lot of dependencies that the Linux GSM has to download, and that will be shown in a second. And I'll make sure that you walk through this because I had an issue the first time I tried starting this up, and it was a pain. It was a pain in my ass. We're going to want to go ahead and click continue. Right here. So it's checking all these dependencies and making sure they are installed. As you can see, some are not installed. So directly following this, it is going to go ahead and download it. And the problem I had before, yeah, this is the problem I had before. It wants me to run this. So we're going to go ahead and run this. And you cannot be in the user account because you do not have root. So just go ahead and go into your root and download everything. Good, so that worked. Go back into the server and install it again. Go ahead to continue. And now it's checking all the dependencies, make sure they're installed. Good, looks like they are all installed properly this time. So right now it's installing the .vh server. Stands for Valheim server, of course. All right, and looks like the Valheim is downloaded. And I would actually not like to send statistics. All right. Now, before we start the server, there is one thing we have to do, and that is edit the config file. So we want to head into LGSM, which is actually a directory. And we want to go ahead and do cd config-lgsm. And go into VH server. And you should see there is a common config and a default config. If we go into this common config right now, and just so you know, I like using the vi command. You can use any text editor you like, but I like the newer version of vi. So if we go into the common config, you can see there's nothing here. It's to be expected. And to get out of vi, let's say you're a first time user of this and you don't know how to get out, just do shift and then the colon. You're going to do a colon. You can see in the bottom left, I just created a colon and just your Q. So what we want to do is we want to copy everything from the default config. Go into that, you can see there's actual settings in here. We want to copy everything from the default CFG config file to the common config file. This is the common config file that is going to be used by the server. So a good way of doing this is to just remove config, common config, and verify that it is gone, and it is gone. Just do cp default CFG and just rename it to common CFG. So what that's doing, it's going to copy the default config and copy and rename it to common.cfg. So now we have the common CFG back, and if we go into it, you can see that there's stuff in it. And this is the stuff we want to change and everything. Mostly you probably just want to change these four or five settings up here. So let's say I want to rename my server to YouTube tutorial. Okay, and password. Let's change the password to YouTube port. Just keep the regular default port. Game world, keep that as default. And public is good. Everything else I don't want to touch. Good. So now that is done. We don't need to be in here anymore. So we're going to go ahead and do VH server start. Looks like our server has actually started now, so I'm going to go ahead and start a Valheim. Alright, so Valheim is actually running in the background now. So what you want to do is head over to your Google Cloud platform and copy your external IP address from your Valheim server. And open up Valheim, start the game, choose your character, click join game, join IP. You're going to paste the IP address and you're going to put the port 2, 4, 5, and 6. And you're just going to click connect. And it's going to go, you know if it doesn't work if it just sits there and doesn't do anything. So we put the password as YouTube. And we are joining. And there we are. We are in our Valheim server that we just created. Of course, all this stuff is from my previous playthrough. So, yeah, that's how you create. I will go over really quickly how to let's just stop the server. What I'm going to go over is how to import a world. That is something I had to do. And a good way to do that is you can't see the file in here. I don't know if it's there we go. So this is just showing everything that is not hidden. Everything that's hidden in here, right here. We want to go into the .config file. So let's go to cd.config and head into Unity 3D and IronGate. So this IronGate folder is the same folder that would be on your computer. Pull that up in 1 second. Alright, so I am in the directory now, and the directory to locate so this is the IronGate folder, and this is the same IronGate folder that is in your server. So IronGate Valheim, and if we go into Valheim IronGate, you'll see that it is the same folder as well, Valheim. And you have characters, everything, and you have your worlds. And this is the world you're going to want to import. These 4 files here. And that is the 4 files you want to import. So if we go into worlds, you're going to paste. You're just going to want to replace it as well. But yeah. If once you paste it in here, it's probably best to rename it to vhserver.db. Rename all of these files to vhserver in the beginning, not the file extension, just the beginning part, in case Valheim tries to create these same files over again. I haven't tested that to see if it will or not, but I'll leave that up to you to figure out. But other than that, that is how you import a Valheim world from your local computer up to a server as well. And that was a tutorial on how to create a Valheim server on the Google Cloud platform. So thank you so much for watching, and yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll answer them in the comments. Thank you.